Avatar: The Way of Water was directed by James Cameron, and it stars Sam Worthington and Zoe Saldana as they reprise their roles as Jake Sully and Neytiri. And this movie takes place like 13 years after the first movie, and this is a long-waited or unexpected or a long time waited sequel to the first Avatar movie, which came out in the year 2009. So in this movie, Jake and Neytiri, they have a family of their own. They have like 3 or 4 kids of their own, and until they discover that the sky people who we saw in the first movie is now coming back to continue their attack, and now it's up to Jake Sully and his family to team up and to go against these sky people who we saw in the first movie. And now we got Avatar: The Way of Water. This movie has been anticipated by a lot of people, including myself, because I've been a massive fan of the first movie. In fact, I love the first movie. After 13 years, I don't know what took so long for this sequel, for this Avatar movie to come out. Maybe the director was running out of ideas, which is understandable for a sequel. They run out of ideas, and these long-waited sequels, sometimes they run out of ideas, or they're just like, okay, let's just give out an Avatar 2 so the fans can watch it. Like fans who have seen the first movie, let's just put this one out. And I gotta tell y'all this, I love the first Avatar movie. I adore this movie a lot. After a very long time, when I was in my 5th grade, I was in 5th grade when this movie came out. I was in 5th grade in elementary school when this movie came out in theaters. And I still love this movie as an adult after like a very, very long time. And now, with this movie in particular, it's so great to reunite with the Na'vis after a very, 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 very long time. So, all I can say is, Avatar 2, The Way of Water. Is this movie as good as the first movie? I'm going to say the answer is yes. There's some really cool things I love about this movie, but I think there are like 1 or 2 minor issues I have with this movie. So, to talk things off, Avatar: The Way of Water is one of the best, awesome, beautifully shot movies from James Cameron himself. So, I think that's it for that. Let's talk about the actors and the characters themselves. Excuse me. So first off, we're gonna start with Sam Worthington as Jake Sully. Now, Jake Sully, like I said, he has kids of his own. When he discovers that these sky people who we saw in the first movie are coming back to continue their attack on them, they have to go somewhere to meet these other new blue people who we saw like in the trailers or something. And now he wants to keep his family safe from imminent danger, because these human beings, the human beings who we saw in the first movie are coming back for this movie. Who came back for this movie to put an attack on them, and now it's up to Jake Sully to team up to go against this new threat. And I gotta say, with Sam Worthington as this character right here, as Jake Sully, it's so great to see him again after a very long time. And he's really good in the first movie, including in this one. He has done a really good job in the first movie, including in this one. Because in the first movie, he was a human being in a wheelchair, and also a Na'vi in the first movie as well. But in this one, he's a Na'vi throughout this whole movie, which I think that's a great thing. And that's it for Sam Worthington as Jake Sully, and it's so good to see him again after a very long time. And next up is Zoe Saldana as Neytiri. Now, I gotta talk about Neytiri right here. After a very long time since I've seen the first movie, it's so good to see her again after a very long time. Like I said, her and Jake have kids of their own because they're parents. They want to protect their kids, and when they found out that this new threat is coming. When this new threat from the human beings who are the sky people from the first movie had come back to their planet to continue their attack, they must find a way to go somewhere safe to this new land of new blue people, which they meet for the first time, and now she has to team up to go against this new threat as well. And Zoe Saldana has done a really good job in the first movie, including in this one as Neytiri. Now, Neytiri, I gotta say, she did a fantastic job in the first movie, including in this one. This is one of her best performances I ever seen from her. And I think that's it from Zoe Saldana as Neytiri. And next up is Stephen Lang as Colonel Courage. Now we know Colonel Courage was the main villain of the first movie because in the first movie he was a human being. He was a human being in the first movie. In this one, he's a Na'vi. He came back as a Na'vi, and there was no explanation of how they translate his body out of the human form and into this Na'vi form because he just and I'm like, dude, I thought you died in the first movie, and yeah. But now he comes back and now he came back in this Na'vi form, which was no explanation or no showing for how this character came back. But the thing is, Stephen Lang is really good in this movie because in the first movie, I liked him in the first movie and also in this one. Stephen Lang as Colonel Courage is fantastic in this role, and I think we'll be seeing him in the next Avatar movie if we do get an Avatar 3. So good to see you again, Colonel Courage, after all these years. And now, next up is Sigourney Weaver as Curie. When I heard her voice in the second trailer, I was just like, wait, is that Sigourney Weaver's voice that I hear? All I hear is, Dad. All I hear is, Dad, I feel something. And I was like, wait, that is Sigourney Weaver's voice as Curie. Because I think in the first movie, Sigourney Weaver was Grace Augustine in the first movie, but then in the first movie, she mentioned this girl was actually real because guess who she mentioned? This character right here. She mentioned Curie. Now, Curie is like one of my favorite characters in this movie. All I can say is for this character, sometimes she does get attitudes. Sometimes she does get an attitude. Sometimes she gets an attitude. Sometimes she experiences stuff that's underwater when she meets these new people. When she meets these new people for the first time, and also she's one of Jake and Sully's kids as well. Yeah, I'm sorry, Jake Sully's kids as well. So, with Sigourney Weaver as Curie, we didn't expect Sigourney Weaver to come back for this role. Maybe they translated her body to this character. I don't know, but there was no explanation from the first movie or this one as well. But with Sigourney Weaver voicing Curie, I think she did an awesome job playing this role. I think that's it for Curie. And next up, who else do we got? And next up is Brittany Dalton as Loak. Now, Loak, on the other hand, Loak makes tons of mistakes. He doesn't think stuff through. He does obey his father, but there's some times he's still doing the same thing a million times. But also, he also speaks the same exact language like the Na'vis did as well. And I gotta say, with Brittany Dalton as Loak is really good in this movie, and this is one of the most awesome CGI characters, like the other characters in this movie as well. So with Loak, this is my first time meeting this character. This is our first time meeting this character for the first time because he's one of Jake and Neytiri's kids as well. So I guess that's it for Loak, being played by Brittany Dalton. And next up is Bailey Bass as Saria. Yeah, Saria. Now Saria, on the other hand, is the love interest. To me, I'm gonna say, in my opinion, she's just the love interest. She's the love interest of Loak, and all I can say is she's just the love interest. She's like just there to be the love interest, or just train these Na'vis who are new to her land as well, and also discover what's underwater. And with Bailey Bass as Saria is fantastic in this role. And I love the motion capture of this character and all the characters in this movie as well, including all the Na'vis. And all I can say is she's really good in this movie, and that's it for Bailey Bass as Saria, even though the T is silent. Last but not least is Cliff Curtis as Tonowari. Now, Cliff Curtis as Tonowari is really good in this movie. When he meets Jake and Neytiri's, when they meet Jake and Neytiri and their family for the first time, they're just like, he tells them, okay, if you're gonna stay, you have to be one of us. You have to be brother and sister and work together, or something like that, to my people as well. And he's also the protector of his people. In my opinion, he's more like the king of protecting not just his people but also his own land. After he after or before he meets Jake and Neytiri and the kids as well. So and Cliff Curtis is like really good as this character. Is really good as Tonowari, and Tonowari, in my opinion, is like one of my favorite characters as well, including Jake and Neytiri are also my favorite characters as well. And all I can say is I think that's it for Cliff Curtis as Tonowari, and I think that's it for the rest. And and I think that's it for the actors and the characters themselves. Now, should I talk about the action scenes? The action sequences are awesome. I love the action sequences in this movie because in the first movie we did get some action set pieces here and there. There was some action set pieces here and there. But the action in this movie is really good. I think they added some action set pieces here and there. But this movie is not just showing us action. Also, we get the final battle, which is really good in the first movie, including in this one. I love the final battle in this one, how it's shot with really cool cinematography. And I think James Cameron used like the IMAX cameras to direct this movie, which I think he did pretty good with. This movie has one of the best action sequences. I think we have like three or probably like 3 or 4 or 5 action sequences in this movie, which I don't remember. I lost so much track. But the final battle in this movie, how it's shot with really cool camera work, is cleared. Like you pretty much tell exactly what's going on. And the visuals, I do want to talk about the visual effects, the CGI, and all the characters themselves. The Na'vis are getting a lot more of the focus throughout this movie because I think we do get the human characters, but we get less focus on the humans and more focus on the blue people throughout this whole entire movie, which I think that's a really cool thing because in the first movie I think we got remember in the first movie we're going back and forth to focusing on the humans, we're going back and forth to focusing on the Na'vis and Pandora itself. With this movie, I think, to my opinion, this movie mostly focuses on the blue people and the Na'vis themselves, and with the visuals in this movie, I love the cinematography of how great the visual effects was, and I think James Cameron is one of the best cinematography directors to do this movie, and he did a really good job with really interesting cinematography, and the writing is really good as well, and the plot is really good as well. Now, I do want to talk about the underwater sequences. The underwater scenes are fantastic. Like, with the underwater sequences, with some sea creatures here and there. I love the sea creatures in this movie. How they were both visual with CGI and visual effects. I love the visual effects of how it's all clear. You could pretty much tell it felt very real. Because every time I watch the underwater sequences, I'm just like, is it just me, or am I watching National Geographic underwater or Disney Nature underwater? What's happening? To my opinion, every time I look at the underwater scenes in the movie, I'm just like, I feel like I'm watching National Geographic underwater right now. But it does feel like National Geographic underwater just a little bit, which I think that's a really cool thing. And I think James Cameron did a really good job with the underwater sequences. And to talk about this movie's like 3 hours and 12 minutes long, which I'm like, okay, I'm lucky I made it through. The thing is about this movie being 3 hours and 12 minutes long, I get they were running out of ideas, but I was like, why is this movie like 3 hours and 12 minutes long? Like in the first movie was like 2 hours and 40 something minutes long. Yeah, Avatar, the first movie was 2 hours and 40 something minutes long. This movie's like 3 hours and 12 minutes long, which is insane. I'm like, when I saw the runtime of this movie, I'm like, why is this movie like 3 hours and 12 minutes long? Oh my God. Can you imagine falling asleep? Imagine falling asleep through this movie. Yeah. I can't believe this. But the thing is about this movie as well, all I can say is there's some stuff that I really love about this movie. There's some awesome, like I said, there's some really cool visual effects, a lot of cool cinematography, and also with these new characters that we're meeting. The new characters that we're meeting, they do look like Na'vis, but they're still blue as well, like in a light blue color scheme or something. We get to meet them for the first time, and I'm like, are they Na'vis? Are they new groups of Na'vis? But they said no, they're not Na'vis. I think they are Na'vis or something like that. But the only thing I really like about this movie is I think how great the movie ended. I like the way this movie ended as well, and I think they did a really good, and also they did a really good job with how incredible the movie ended. The music score is awesome. I love the music score as well for this movie and the first movie, and including in this one. I love the music score, and also we have the music artist The Weeknd, who also did this music video called "Nothing Is Lost," which I think he did a really awesome job of how it felt dramatic. It felt like you're going into this movie with really cool higher expectations. And I think that's it for the rest of Avatar: The Way of Water. So Avatar 2: The Way of Water is one of my favorite movies, like the first movie is. I love the first movie, including this one for the most part. Avatar 2 is James Cameron's best movie of all times. Go see this movie. Go see it. It's worth to watch. And I know it's a worth to wait, but it's still worth to watch. And I think that's it for Avatar: The Way of Water. And I think that's about it for the rest of this movie. And that's it. So be sure to like, subscribe, press the notification button, follow me on Instagram, comment down below, and I'll see you on my next video. And thank you for watching.